Welcome to Streaming Without a Paddle. On this channel, I'll watch and give you the rundown on all the unknown movies that are present on all of streaming services. As of today, many of us subscribe to a few streaming services, whether it be Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Plus, HBO, Shudder, etc., etc. Now, among all these streaming services, there are plenty of movies that are already known due to their enormous budget for marketing, and maybe they were even in theaters. Equally so, there are hundreds of movies streaming that are unknown. We don't even know they exist. And this is what I'll be watching and giving you exposure to an expanded cinematic experience. So once again, welcome to Streaming Without a Paddle. Let's get on our boats, grab our remotes, and see where the stream takes us today. Today's movies include Amazon Prime's Netherbeast Incorporated and Under the Bed. Okay, so let's start with Netherbeast Incorporated. Made in 2007 with a runtime of 90 minutes, it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 46% from the audience and 3.5 stars on Amazon, which I'm not sure if that's even accurate because Amazon seems to rate everything 3.5 stars. Don't know if that's the average or if they're not paying attention to it. The movie's summary is just another day at Netherbeast Incorporated. Cubicles, coffee, and blood in the drinking fountain. They are, after all, vampires. But all is not well when an employee is found dead with a stake through his heart. This is going to be one hell of a day at the office. Now let's start with this. The intro was interesting as it displayed an animated scene of the office space and transitioned into the live action. It was a nice touch. More of a narrative movie, think like The Wonder Years. But in the plot, an office building is its haven, or better yet, more of a home to a group of vampires, zombie-like people. Now, the summary says that when the employee is found with the stake in his heart, that's when everything starts. Not being well in some way. And in a way, that's true. Now, I'm sure you're asking right now, well, Vince, what do you mean? Let me explain. So in the movie, when the aforementioned boss begins to lose all his memory and believe he's human, the first scene is like a huge WTF moment because he kills his fellow vampire with a stake through the heart. He then leaves the body in the chair, proceeds to have a company-wide meeting with the body still sitting there. But this is not when you get the feeling of everything not being well at all in the office. And that's because this scene has more of like a comedic input. So after killing the guy, he hires a human woman to take the dead vampire's place, which, as you can guess, causes some problems. It makes many of the dead vampires or them wonder how they're going to keep their secrets from this human. So in this way, it does sort of have like a coincidence with the idea of like integration in the workplace and becoming a community of inclusion. In fact, the office space seems to become more upbeat when the human is introduced into the workspace. But suddenly more of the coworkers are being murdered, and this right here is really when you get the feeling of something not being right in the office. Now, the boss is in the care of the office's medical team, so in a way, he's kind of ruled out of being the killer. Because throughout the whole time, the medical team is pretty much always with them. So for him to kind of be the antagonist is pretty far-fetched. They all need to discover who's killing their co-workers, and this is where the movie finally picks up pace. Now, throughout this whole time, when I give you movies, I'm not going to be rating them or giving it stars or scores. My job here is to let you know you're going to like this movie if you like this certain type of movies. So when I give you the rundown on what the movie is about, just expect for me to just tell you exactly what it's about and then if you're going to like this movie or not, if you're into those type of movies. I don't want to discourage anybody from watching any type of movies. I am a movie addict. I love all types of movies. I will watch all types of movies. And I want everybody else to give movies a chance as well. So like I said, when I go ahead and give you the rundown on a movie, I'm not rating it. I'm just letting you know, hey, you might like this if you like this. Now, this movie is interesting, but it is a bit lackluster when it comes to the antagonist. When we think of antagonists, we're thinking of something that is really going to drive everything in some way. But it was still pretty good. The actors, the lighting, the music, the scene work was all adequate. I can appreciate where the writer and the director were going with the movie, and all in all, it is pretty decent. It's actually pretty decent. Check this movie out if you're into supernatural movies that take a different approach to the supernatural. Now, if you're a purist when it comes to things like vampires, and you want to see vampires being traditional movie vampires, you may not like this movie. But if you're open to something like this and enjoy a comedic take on it, then check it out. This may be for you. All right, so next up is Under the Bed. Now, this movie may be a little more known than others since it exhibited at the Fantasia International Film Festival in 2012, the Film 4 Fright Fest in the same year, and the Madrid International Fantastic Film Festival in 2013. It went to DVD in 2013, starting in Germany, and expanded from there. It was made into a movie in 2012 and has a runtime of 87 minutes. Now, it has a 40% critic score and a 14% audience score rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, this movie, Under the Bed, is a horror movie, and the movie summary goes like, every child knows about the monster under the bed. Neil Houseman's mistake was trying to fight it. Neil has returned from a 2-year exile following his tragic attempt to defeat the monster, only to find his father ticking ever closer to a breakdown, a new stepmother who fears him, and his little brother Paul terrorized by the same monster. Now, the family must be brought back to normal. First off, what is normal? People always talking about normal. Who cares about being normal? Do you? I know I don't. I mean, in a societal sense, I guess in a way I am normal. But in my mind, normal is whatever the person considers to be normal. So what I do might not be normal to somebody else. As then that goes in this movie as well. If you do, I mean, then I guess I can almost guarantee that your definition of normal is different than your neighbor's, which makes the idea of normal subjective. So, now, after about 15 minutes, you notice the tried and true plot of a kid who sees a monster. No one believes him, and he's labeled as the crazy kid in the small town. The movie, from a production standpoint, is actually done really well. There are some scenes where the music is a bit distracting and takes away from the character development though. The first glimpse of the monster was somewhat over the top. The shaking of the camera had that Blair Witch running through the woods feel, which almost made the scene a little cheesy. Then there is the unusual diagram of horror movies. The dad doesn't believe anything that the kids are saying, and the monster exposes itself to the mother first. So now she begins to look like she's losing her mind. Now, when the mom first has an unseen interaction with the creature, it is behind the washer, which is not in the house. Up until now, the creature has only come from under the bed, hence the name of the movie. So it had me kind of wondering, so how did the monster get behind the washer? I wasn't really sure. I guess it's just from under anything. They do provide a little explanation for it in the movie, but still, if the creature only needs darkness to come out, why not come from, like, say, the closet as well? Or, any other place that just has like shadows. So for the whole movie, it's just been under the bed. The fog in the movie also leaves me with a few questions. It really picks up when the monster fully shows itself. Now, I say fully because up till now, it's only been like an arm or its legs coming from under the bed. But when it comes out all the way, it takes out one of the neighbor's sons and the dad within like a minute, ripping off a head and then melting his dad's face, which was actually pretty cool in a way because I didn't expect it to like kill the neighbor's kid. Uh so I can truly appreciate the work that went into the monster. CGI has overtaken the movie industry, and when a production takes the time to use makeup artists and molds a full monster, then they just totally get my respect for that. But I did kind of feel that the monster would have had more of an impact on the movie if it didn't have a fully corporeal body. The ending was like, I mean, this thing just ripped the child's head off and left the room covered in blood. And there was screaming from everyone, then killed the dad, which produced even more screaming. And I was like, in a neighborhood like theirs, there should have definitely been way more people outside wondering what the hell is going on. Um, but all in all, I would say give this movie a watch if you're looking for a decent creature feature that has a feeling of being supernatural. Like I said, the Rotten Tomato score didn't get too high, but I honestly think it was all right. It was decent to me. Um, Okay, then those are the two movies for this episode. If you feel compelled, then go ahead and watch those movies over the weekend. They both had some flaws, but if you're a fan of the genres, then you won't be disappointed. And also remember that a lot of these movies that I will be talking about that are pretty well unknown are either like micro budget or mini budget. They don't really have as much money as, like, say, our Marvel Cinematic Universe movie or something like that. So you need to go into these movies with an open mind and understand that that is what you're going to be getting, and try to focus more on the storyline and give them a pass on a lot of this other stuff. Like I said, both of these movies had their flaws, but they were actually pretty good. Now, if you have any movies on your save list that has piqued your interest, but you're just not sure if it'll be good and you don't want to waste your time per se, then send me the title and the streaming service it's on, and I'll watch it and let you know on one of the episodes what the vibes are with this movie. You can send that information to streamingwithoutapaddle@gmail.com. And thank you for watching this episode, and I will see you next week.